Kia ora, and welcome to Constellations and All That. I'm your host, Tracy Cartwright, and together we will be exploring the world of family constellations with facilitators and clients from around the world, looking at different perspectives and experiences in the work, having a cup of tea, and just chatting with some friends around their experiences in constellations. We'd love for you to join us. I hope that you enjoy this series as much as I have loved making it. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to Constellations and All That. Today, on this beautiful, sunny, crisp morning here in Aotearoa, I have the pleasure of chatting with my friend Cushla Sheridan. Hey, Cushla, how are you doing?
Hi, Tracy. How are you? Lovely to be on and so looking forward to this
Oh,
conversation
I'm
today.
so glad that you said yes to coming on. Coming on, it's beautiful. So I'm going to invite you to share a little bit, just a brief introduction of yourself, whatever that is sitting there for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess for your listeners, they can probably tell already that I have an accent. So I'm originally from Ireland, but I've been living in beautiful Aotearoa now for 15 years. So I met a Kiwi guy when I was working in Crete at a yoga center. And yeah, we decided to come back to the Bay of Islands up north in the North Island of New Zealand. And we set up a beautiful retreat here, which is coastal and
Mm.
also has about 40 acres of land. So it's very lovely being on this precious piece of beauty, really. And yeah, we came back here and it was mostly pasture, like farming land. So we planted 120,000 trees over 5 years and really, regenerated the land. And then the birds came back, and yeah, it's just a beautiful spot up here. I have two children. I guess probably good to say that I'm not a family constellation facilitator from the onset, but I think probably you and your listeners will understand when I say that through all the modalities I do, that I work in the field of consciousness. So I'm a yoga teacher, energy healer, Reiki, chakra, and Irish healing as well. It was the last one that I found, and which is kind of funny as well. I also do a little bit of sound healing with the drum, and me and my beautiful drum with you, which was very special, special day. And I guess probably what overrides all of the work that I do is a focus or an attention to or a reclamation of the womb, the feminine, and the earth. So
Mm.
all of
Mm.
those three things together kind of, pervades all of my work. And at the moment, I am having focused a lot on the maiden and the mother womb when my daughter was younger, and now I'm nearly 50. I'm kind of delving into the menopausal womb, yeah, which is a whole different energy, which I'm really keen to explore and to help other women with that. So that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. And I've been privileged to experience um, a bit of your work, and we did the Maid and the Mother,
The rites of passage,
the rites of
yeah,
passage,
they
yeah.
were
And
beautiful.
it was stunning, and
Yeah,
just the shifts for me in my journey, because it was quite a tumultuous journey for me
and
through
it
my
can
life.
be.
It really helped. And there was
Mm.
just some moments of complete, like those aha moments that were like, poof, the earth just moved underneath my feet,
Mm.
recognizing stuff. So I can attest to your beautiful gifts that you bring through and the work that you share. So very
Mm.
grateful.
And
Um,
likewise for you. I mean, I was very privileged to have done family constellations with you on and off for 5 years. Well, I think I probably went to everyone that you put on for 5 years. And
mm,
that was deeply healing for me, for my family, my original family, and also for my kids. You know, you'd literally come back from the workshop with you. And I could just see the change in my kids already. Like it really spiraled outwards and
Yeah.
downwards, and that flow through of energy as things get freed up in the past is really so. It's a mutual appreciation society today, Tracy. Well, I really appreciate your work too.
Thank you. And I always giggle when we talk about your beautiful retreat center because do you remember the story I told you about? And I think it was maybe before you purchased the property that there had been, and correct me if I'm wrong, the house had been started by someone else, the base of the house.
Yeah, maybe.
And I had been on with my husband and our little boy and my daughters and had some of his family were out on their boat for the day. And I'm not big on the water, going on the water. Anyway, we drove, yeah, we did drive in a little boat into this little cove, and I could see the beach, and I was just like, I really want to go over there and onto the beach. So I got off the boat and swam over. And it turned out to be the cove, the beautiful secluded cove where your house is.
Yeah, actually, I do remember you telling me that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Spent a little
found.
bit of time there and thought, oh, I felt a little bit cheeky because I could see that there was some construction underway. But I was like, oh, I'm sure they won't mind. I'm not going to do any harm. And
Yeah,
then when I got to
well,
come to your place and be there, and I was like, oh, I've been here before. This is amazing. So, yeah,
interesting.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So your retreat center is in Russell.
Yeah, Aotearoa Russell. It's a beautiful little village.
Mm.
And so my husband's parents were already living here, and we would come and visit them. And we just went, oh, wouldn't this be just idyllic for to bring up children? And so we moved back here maybe 15 years ago now. And so the kids spent all their childhood here, and it's just such a lovely community to be in. Yeah, it's very gorgeous.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, I know that, as you just shared, you've done quite a bit of constellation work with me. How did you first meet constellations? Was it through me or through some other?
Yeah, it was through you. I think I come back from Ireland on a trip and there was issues around a property or a house within my family and I just had some kind of recollection of, gosh, this story sounds familiar. I'm sure somebody's told me this happened in the past before. And I seen an ad for Family Constellations just on the, Facebook, whatever. And whatever it was that you'd written, I went, okay, I don't know what that is, but I think that's what I need. And so yeah, it's interesting as well, the energy that properties and land holds. And a
Mm,
lot of the first kind of constellations we did together was around that and how the energy around that house played out between two people in my family. Didn't get sorted, and then it played out again with the one
mm.
of the initial people and then two others. So same dynamics, brother, sister each time, and then got played out again. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, those repeating patterns. As we're talking, I'm sitting here with a book by Angwin St. Just, and she talks about time, space, and fractals, and a lot of what she talks about is how things repeat on in places, like the land holding the energy as well, and
Mm.
how not only can the same situation evolve through the families, but also things that can happen on that land again and again
Mm.
and again and again. So
Yes. Yeah. Until somebody does some work around the land
yeah,
to clear it. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. Hey, tell me about this Irish healing. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and it cracks me. I love life. Life cracks me up. First of all, like very early in my 20s, I found Reiki, the Japanese, healing, and then it was chakra healing, the Indian kind of lineage. And it wasn't until maybe I'd say maybe 6 or 7 years ago that I found out a little bit more about Irish healing and trained in that with some beautiful practitioners in Ireland. And I'd known a little bit about them and really admired their work. And then COVID came and they went online. And so it was perfect timing that I didn't have to go
Mm,
back to Ireland for their training. I mean, sometimes they call it Irish shamanic healing, but that sense of the indigenous in Ireland is often they're termed druids. And so I kind of like that terminology as well. I'm still playing a little bit about the
Mm.
terminology because some people don't know that here, but yeah, so it's a beautiful system that sets up around nature. So it's not connected to any religion. I guess probably a term pagan might be one that some people might kind of know, which basically means of the land.
Mm.
So it sets up like a paradigm, a spiritual paradigm around, the wind. And if you want, you can bring in some of the mythology, some of the Tuatha and the gods and goddesses of old Ireland if you want. And so I work mostly with the energy of a river, Boan, which is a
Mm.
mythological river, mythological goddess Boan, and an actual river in Ireland. And in the mythology, she was said to have walked around a well the wrong way, reclaimed something that was only meant for men, which I guess before patriarchy, the wells were always tended to by the women. But in this story, her husband and the men were tending to the wells. So there's a lot of like, that shift in cultural consciousness and time
Yeah.
frames coming into it. And perfect for now as we see the feminine come back into alignment with a masculine that is healthy and sacred. So she walked around the well the wrong way, and the water
Mm.
rose up and dismembered her, and she became the river Boan, the river Boyne in Ireland, which brought healing to all of Ireland and to all of the land. So, and in that healing is a terminology called imbas forosni, divine illumination. And so that's what I work with, that lineage when I do energy healing now. So it feels very grounded healing. So
Yeah.
it's a different sense from some of the kind of galactic, outer
Yeah.
healings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it works really well with women's bodies in that they can take it
Absolutely. With that flow.
they can take it in and it integrates very easily. Like, it's not this kind of spacious out of body. It's very much an embodied, um,
Mm.
sensory kind of experience. Yeah. So I really love
Beautiful.
working. And I mean, it's like everything when you're working in the field, it depends where you laser beam your focus. And so mine has been with the womb, with nature, with the earth. And so you can move towards or away from any of those things. And so most of the things in the
Mm.
earth's energy are sacredness and life and can bring that to your way of being. I just did a beautiful work with the bees and the consciousness of unity.
Yes.
As we become a little bit more fragmented in our culture, I found that that was what was needed.
I love that. We've been talking about bees in Ansky, our constellation team as well. So
Uh,
do you want to share a little bit more about that, like the how the bees
The
have shown
bees,
up?
the bees have been in my life for a long time because um, one of my other places that I love is Crete. It's like my home away from home, and the
Mm.
Melissa there are the bee priestesses, the goddesses of the womb, and so they've come in a lot to do the womb work. But recently, they've come in the last sort of 3 or 4 years to do with that unity consciousness, where um, in the hive, the all the bees have different jobs, but they're all working towards one singular goal. And
Mm.
if you've ever seen, I have had the amazing experience of seeing a swarm, and
Yeah.
they move as one. they're so
That's that
unified.
morphogenic, isn't it?
Yes.
Morphogenic field. It's like,
And when you're in that field, if we take it down to the personal level, then, which the bees can help you with, it's like, well, how can I hate you when we are one and the same, you know? And so it brings in that sense of deep love. And even if you don't understand someone's behavior or you don't like it, at least you can see the trails of where it's come from and that perhaps there was woundings there and so you're not going to hate on that person. You're actually going to give them even more love, even if you're not,
such a constellation, isn't it?
yeah, even if you're not in physicality, you don't want to be in a space with them. You
Yeah.
could send them love from your heart to help with their healing. So the bees have a lot to teach. I mean, everything in nature has a lot to teach us. And I think, there's this such a huge thing in the human field where we are better and more intelligent than everyone else.
Mm.
And I come back down to, my God, please teach me. I've so much to learn from you, whether it be the kawa plant or, the little picky waka waka, the little fantail that comes into your house. Like, what are you teaching
Mm.
me today? And so when we can move into a field of consciousness, whatever it is, then you can commune with anything that you want to in life. And, I would say, how do we know that kawa is good for X, Y, and Z? Well, because in the past, people were actually open to speaking with, in some form, with plant, with animal, with ocean, with the
Mm.
tree, and so we can do that again. It's a good way to live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you at your beautiful space, you do yoga, but you
Mm.
also run retreats and have a space where people
Can stay as well,
can
yeah.
stay as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the minute, I'm running Wise Woman menopausal retreats, which I'm really
Mm.
excited about. So we're reclaiming a stage in our life that has, I think, culturally become, it's great that there's so much information about it now, but I think it's been really limited to a physicality and what symptoms you have, which need to be addressed, absolutely, especially if they are really impacting your life. But I think we're missing with all the blood mysteries, with your first menarche and with the mother, as if you're birthing in this lifetime, we're missing the spiritual, and emotional and psychological aspects of these huge potentials for growth. And also, I think, like we did the rites of passage, if you don't have someone or something that is taking you from one stage to the next, it can all just blur into one big thing. And there are aspects of being a mother that you need to say goodbye to, and perhaps there's some things that you need to show or feel some grief or sadness over. Perhaps there's some things that you want to hold in your heart forever, and it's great to have just somebody as a guide to help you through that space of letting go of one stage and then moving into the next, or that menopausal woman, so that you can come into a different stage of power, authenticity, where your sole focus is not on supporting, nurturing, and caring for everyone else.
I was going to say there's so much when you begin to unpack that.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
And if we think back to the generations, many generations ago, really, where they often didn't have the symptoms that we have today. A lot of the symptoms are influenced by the industrial era and
Yeah.
the
And just the
toxins and
speed
the
of life.
things and exactly
Yeah.
speed of life. So it's like we can tap into what was there, but it's also finding a new way of
Mm.
taking it forward, taking some of that and finding what's working now. How can we bring in those pauses, like the menopause, right?
Yes.
If we want to go there, the bleeding and the pausing and the bleeding. Yeah.
There is a lovely, I can't remember her name, but there is a lady in England and she is, what would you say? Not protesting isn't the right word, advocating for a year, just like you do after you've had a baby, so that you have a year out of work, of life, that you can, truly rest in that time, which is so often needed and yet impossible for most women who are working, have perhaps teenage children,
Mm,
maybe at the other end of the scale, their parents are growing older, need more help, It's actually sometimes a time when there's more that you have to do than at other times. And so um, I always say, if something seems impossible, start with 5 minutes. What would 5 minutes of that thing look like? So,
mm,
I'm going to put 5 minutes of rest into my day today,
love that.
or five
Yeah.
minutes of time for me, 5 minutes of quiet. And so there's always a possibility of something. Yeah.
I'm, as we speak, I'm in week 2 of recovery after some major surgery, and
Mhm.
that pausing when because my head feels really good, you know. It's
Yeah,
just there's some physical things that I need to rest with for quite some time, and it's that stopping because I've been on a go, 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 you know, and like you say, I've just walked the journey with my parents, and having raised children, and
mm,
then walking that
yeah,
journey with my parents, um, and actually pausing to give myself this time as a process every day. I'm like going through this little process of holding back, holding
mm,
myself back just to be able to receive.
beautiful. I
Because
love
I'm
that you're doing
just
that for
so,
yourself.
yeah, I've just been giving. And then in that giving, you can overlook other things too, right?
Mm,
So I'm journaling a lot more and taking that time. It's not a year, but it's going to be. Last year was so frantic, but this year it's going to be. It, so far,
beautiful.
I'm learning new ways.
And when you
Mm.
speak of that, I go back to your earlier comment about the Industrial Revolution. And it
Mm,
is that move away from, the rhythm of the land. We're made up of all the minerals and, we're actually made up of earth. And so,
mm,
and all the food we intake. So when we're out of misalignment with the rhythm of the land or the rhythm of the earth, then we're not healthy. And
yeah.
so, it was just a natural part of our daily life in winter that there would be less to do and there would be less daylight. And so for the last 200 years or so, our biology is not, it's trying to catch up almost with, daylight and phones everywhere. Like you can work
Exactly.
anytime, anywhere now.
Even
Uh,
electricity, right? That changed
yeah,
so much because
yeah.
lights were able to be on. You could see so much more than a candle.
Exactly. So you can do your dishes right up till 12 o'clock at night or, whatever. So there's, yeah, it's a trick, this life, this, space and time that we're in. And you can get on a real wheel, a real hamster wheel, trying to play catch up all the time. And it's really good to have then your practices to come back into self. And yoga is brilliant for
Mm,
that.
mm,
Any being out in nature, anytime, if you're really present to it, will just take you home again.
yeah.
Yeah, and those practices are particularly important during menopause. And, as we reclaim our menstrual cycle and our first blood for our daughters, hopefully, and I think it's really coming in now that we're teaching them cycle awareness so that they're having a few days when they're bleeding, that they can rest a little bit more, not plan so much. And so if you're practicing that every month, by the time you get to 40 and the perimenopause, then you've got a lot of practices under your belt that will come in really handy then for those times when you don't feel that good, when you feel angry or fearful or just
Mm,
flat. And I guess those spaces, there are things that we want to reclaim, which help us move into the next stage. So the anger was huge for me. I'm Irish and an Aries, so there's always fire. And so, like, I was super angry about a woman's power and a woman's spirituality. So I just did something about it, and I set up the moon groups, the moon mother, moon daughter groups,
Yeah.
and like there's so much energy and fuel driving that. And instead of fighting the system, I set up a different system. And I think
Yeah.
that's where, if women can, get into sacred activism in that time and actually use that anger, like what are you really angry about? What are you wanting to reclaim in this stage of your life? Then we'll see some shifts in culture and society, and that's the beauty of that stage.
Exactly, exactly. And in that reclaiming, part of it, this is my belief, is accepting what has been here now, and then you
Yes.
turn and you're reclaiming with my little tool in my hand. I was massaging myself. You're reclaiming, um, and you're going in this new system that you're creating for yourself, right? You're looking for
Exactly.
this new way of being. So otherwise, we're busy focusing here at what didn't work, what
Mm.
hasn't aligned for us, all of the shite that we've carried for the
Yeah.
generations or we're immersed and entangled in. But yeah, it's acknowledge that because we
Yes.
can't change that, but we can change where we go now.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And I think Family Constellations does that beautifully as well. There's such a powerful positive in that work, like it
Mm,
really, when you're in that field of working with it, you can feel the shift
mm,
too. Like, and I feel like that's as well within our bodies, within our spirit, within our emotions. Like we want to heal. It's almost like the body, the whole frequency changes. Like it's so possible. And I love that.
absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Do you still have your labyrinth?
Yes. Yes, I
Because
do.
that was the first time I'd ever experienced one. Seen many, in images and maybe at gardens, but I'd never. And maybe I'd walked around one once, but not in the context that I did with you, where you guided us through that experience. Man, I remember that was so potent,
I
so
think
powerful.
my labyrinth that I set up is a womb portal
Mm.
space. So, and I think that one I did was with stones or wood, and I have a
Yes.
permanent one now,
Ah,
that I got my husband on board to with his weed eater. So it's actually made out of the grass of the land. So we mapped it out first of all,
yeah.
and then now it is permanently on the land.
Is
Yeah.
it in the same place up with the donkeys?
No, yeah, 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 up there on the top of the hill. Yeah, it's beautiful. And so I
Mm.
I drum, and as you know, with the drum, once you bring in the drum, the spirit
Mm.
just rides in so powerfully on that,
Mm.
doesn't it? It loves that energy, that frequency. And so, yeah, for the menopausal womb, but also for the other womb spaces as well.
Yeah.
I will drum as they walk into their womb and what they want to let go of, and then walk back out again, what they want to bring into that next stage of their life. Yeah, I love that. And the land here is so supportive. Like it really rises up to meet me, to meet people who come and stay on it.
It's
And even
beautiful.
some people who just come for a treatment or a class, they say it's almost like I entered in some different space. My driveway is a kilometer long, and they say when I come off the road, it's like I entered into a different time and
Mhm.
space. And then that kilometer coming down to the studio is just, yeah, beautiful. So the land really supports all the work I do here. And sometimes, yeah, they it's called Te Hene Ruru. And I'll tell you a story about this. So as I was setting it up, I was thinking, what am I going to call this, retreat? And so that was floating in my mind. And I did a journey one night, and the owl came in really strongly for my own personal healing. And the next day, I got up out of bed, and my son, he was pretty young at the time, he said, Mum, there's something on the ground. And I went over and it was this tiny little ruru, and we went and I gave it some energy healing and then stood back and it managed to fly away. I think it had bumped into like a window or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I went, gosh, this is really, and I don't know why it led me to, I just started Googling and then I found Ruru, and who is a beautiful Maori goddess, oftentimes of the night, of that transitional time of death and life. And then so I spoke to some of the elders in the community, Kaimātua, and said, you know, how would you feel if I called it this? I'm going to put a te at the start of it. So the owl woman rather than actually just Heneruru, which is the goddess. And I told them what had happened, and they said, "Well, obviously, it was there for healing for you." And I
Mm.
said, "Oh, I feel really strongly about this. I don't know why. I don't know anything about this goddess at all. I worked a lot with Irish goddesses, so I called it Deheniruru. And you know what I found out? Maybe 4 or 5 years later, I had a lovely Maori lady client came in and she said, "Oh, we just had this guy up in her marae, and he said that Heniruru is the kaitiaki of this area of land here." And I went,
Wow.
wow. So she was just speaking to, I guess, whoever would listen, which was me. Um, and and so she comes in. She's, you know, I've tried to do a couple of workshops with her with the owl, but she never wants to be seen. She kind of like sits around the background, I feel, and just make sure that I'm doing everything okay. And, you know, like that kind of really grandma energy. And one time, which reminded me while I was speaking about that, I was making that womb on the land, and two ruru, it wasn't even that dark. It was just on dusk. Two ruru came and sat on the fence post, like at the other side of the field. And I went, oh my God, that's just crazy. I've never seen two ruru in my life.
Exactly. Some people have never seen any.
Yeah, I have seen that one comes and sits on our washing line fence post, actually. The washing line post, she just sits there. But yeah, just I feel really like that she's guiding a lot.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the moon mother and moon daughter circles, I'd set it up as mothers and daughters coming, and I got a very, very strong message to say you need to bring in the third generation, the grandmother. And at that time, I didn't know the science behind that. I only found out
Mhm.
that later that, you know, we all sit in our grandmother's womb,
Yeah.
when we're the egg in our mother's belly. Yeah, so really interesting stuff when you trust and believe and open yourself up to these beautiful experiences and
Exactly. It's magic, isn't it? So
really
magic.
magic. Yeah.
And listening to nature and letting the ruru and the bees and the kawakawa and the ocean all speak to you and whatever else is. Um, I had that with at the immersion in Rotorua just recently because normally I have my little dog, as you know, Lacey, who's part of the work that I do, and um, obviously she wasn't there at the immersion with me, but a cat came in to the hotel, and I was up at like 4 o'clock in the morning because I was preparing a space. The field said, "Go downstairs," so I went downstairs, and this cat followed me in, and he and I set up the circle for 60 people, and he went and sat on my chair, not knowing that that was the space that I would be sitting on. And because it walked around talking to me to start with, and I was like, I just need you to hold some space for me. Can it, because I need to be able to listen. So he
Yes.
wandered off and sat on my chair and
Wow.
held the space with me. It was so
Wow.
beautiful. So just
Yeah.
having that calling in of nature, we're in quite a corporate
Yes,
place.
environment. Yeah.
Um, and then to have nature come into us was so beautiful.
And that kind of blows me away as well, you know, when you think about what we as a collective as humans have done to nature, and
Mm,
yet they're still, you know, want to support us and Like they're very warm, open-hearted. Like they have a lot of love for us as a species sharing this earth, you know. I think that kind of that always touches me that you know we can treat it so horribly and yet they still want to come in and help us.
So much we can learn, right?
I
And
know.
and you know, Hellinger talks about it all comes back to love. And when you look at that, what you're just saying, it all
Mm,
comes back to that frequency,
of
right?
love,
Of
yeah.
love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we call it love. They they
Probably have a
wouldn't, but
different name for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oneness, whatever.
Yes.
So many
Yeah.
different names for it, right?
Yeah. Mm.
Beautiful. So what have you got coming up? Let's share a little bit about that with the listeners and the viewers. What's on your plate?
Um, like I said, I'm really, really immersed in the menopausal womb and just providing a space for women to explore that,
Mm,
what's happened in the womb space before now as it comes to like the end of that huge fertility, you know. So you're coming to a big ending. And I kind of, you know, if you think about the blood mysteries and those stages of life, this is your third one. The next one is, you know, elderhood and then death. So it's a really pivotal point for women, I think, this stage that, you know, it's now or never, really. So holding the space for that, the changing identities. I have a program that I'm offering over 8 weeks for those who perhaps can't get to the retreat and have that time and space over a weekend for themselves. And that's one-on-one. So that incorporates all of my modalities, but it's really targeted rather than you know, the retreat spaces are very much a group energy.
mm, yeah.
This is really targeted. So we'll, you know, spend the first little bit of time, you know, identifying what's going on, what you need help with, what you need support with.
Is
And
that
then
online or in person?
yeah, that's online and in person. So I can do it both ways. So I've worked out a way to do it both ways. And just some really easy practices for women to do at home, in the office, in the
Mm,
toilet, you know, wherever they can, just to support themselves that they can carry through after the 8 weeks. So they have something that's
beautiful.
really valuable and supportive after that 8 weeks of being with a guide and helping them through a little bit of EFT in that as well, which is a very beautiful modality around the beliefs and emotions that come up at that time of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
you're
I
kind of
share,
like a menopausal doula.
yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't think we got a word yet, but that's a good a word as any for us. Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's so good.
It was
So
so
needed.
funny because when you invited me on, I was like, going, oh, I wonder, because I know I love some of the the constellations you've done recently online. I mean, one was Your Heart's Desire. I love that
Mm,
one. And the other one was it Belonging, Order, Balance? Was that what it was called?
yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking, oh, imagine if she did a constellation for the menopausal womb. Wouldn't that be
Mm.
wonderful? Or just your womb space in general? That would be really.
Well, yeah. Well, there's stuff coming, so you're
Yeah.
on the right track.
Beautiful.
With the journey that I'm on it right at this minute, and it's been leading to me to this for a very long time, and well, around all sorts of things really. That's all involved in all of that sphere of
Mm,
things. So yeah, yeah. Watch
mm.
this space.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, beautiful. So if someone wanted to find you, I know that we will put the link in and we'll
Yes.
collaborate on in sharing this.
Yep.
How would someone be able to find you if they were listening to this now and wanted to find you?
Yes, so my website is www.teheniruru.com. And Teheniruru is spelled Tehine or you.
So are you?
Yeah, sorry, it's my accent.
That's all right. I was just being clear on that for myself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Clear on it for your listeners as well. Yeah.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Mm,
Utmost pleasure to have this conversation with you today, Kushla. I love
really
spending
lovely.
time in your presence. I
Mm,
think there's definitely a kinship there.
Mm,
Uh, so yeah, if anyone's interested in taking this beautiful journey with Cushla, I can highly recommend the space that she holds, and you won't regret it. That's my recommendation. So
thank you, Tracy. You're very
you're
generous.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Head over to Instagram and tell me what's resonated for you with this episode. You'll find me at tracy.cartwright. That's Tracy with no E, Cartwright. Or head over to my website, tracycartwright.co.nz, and receive a free audio with the gift from your ancestors. So until next time, be kind to yourself and have fun doing it.